All right, here's my herd hierarchy. Let's go.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin.
I could have put so many teams at number 10. I'm going to put Tennessee at 10. I had Arizona at 11. I'll put Tennessee at 10. I love their coach. I love their culture. And they're 4-3 since losing Derrick Henry. But they found A.J. Brown has become a star receiver. They play great defense. They've held opponents under 20 points in 3 straight games. They just need a Colts loss or a win. They're going to win the division, and they're going to. Listen, this is going to make them a better team. They've had to rely on Tannehill more and their receiving core more. It's going to make them a better team. So I told you 2 months ago, don't forget about the Colts. I'm telling you right now, they beat the Colts twice when they had Derrick Henry. Don't forget about Tennessee. They're going to, in a couple of weeks, have Derrick Henry. Out of respect for their coach and their culture, they've kind of found different ways to win. I put them at 10.
Number 9.
The Bengals. I don't think it's a Super Bowl team, but they got a 4,000-yard passer, a 1,000-yard rusher, a couple of 1,000-yard receivers, and they're all under 26. The future is incredibly bright here. Also, they're 9-1 in games with 1 or fewer giveaways. So Joe Burrow throws the ball down the field. He's Herbert. So Burrow leads the NFL with 16 deep touchdown passes. Next closest is 11. So this is their offense with Zach Taylor. They're aggressive. Joe lets it rip. Joe throws picks. I do not think they can go through the playoffs turnover free. I think they're good enough to win a playoff game. But I put them at 9 because they're so dynamic. They're so fun. They're almost there. They got to get a little cleaner by next year, but I put them at 9.
Number 8.
Patriots at 8. Great coach, great defense. But, their wins are weird. It's almost like home field means nothing. They're 3-5 at home this year with the best coach in the history of football. A lot of it's arbitrary. They've faced better teams at home. Dallas, Tampa. They've lost. And I still feel that the nor'easter game, they would lose that game, as we saw against Buffalo, if the weather's a non-factor. So they're not necessarily a good team at home. Why? Because they face most of the good teams at home. And I do think there's limitations on what they can do vertically, but out of respect, defense is number 1 scoring defense in the league. They'll be in every single game they play because of that defense in Belichick. I put them at 8.
Number 7.
But Buffalo this weekend's a great example. Take weather out of it. They couldn't stop Buffalo. They couldn't stop Josh Allen. Remember, Buffalo was also missing missing 2 receivers, including Cole Beasley. So, and they also, the thing I like about Buffalo, they're a heavyweight fighter with a knockout punch. They lead the NFL in point differential and yard differential. They're not perfect. That's why I don't have them in the top 5. They don't run the ball enough, although they were committed to the run this weekend. But I'm always going to bet on a fighter who has the ability to end it quickly. And they're not into the jabs. They don't have much of a jab, but they swing. They're Foreman. They're Tyson. They come from the heels on you. And if you ask Kansas City privately who they fear, this is it. They don't want to face Josh Allen, home or away.
Number 6.
The Cowboys. Listen, I know they won big. I just want to give you one little bit of information. They are 6-0, 5-0 against the NFC East this year, and 6-4 against everybody else. They play in a terrible division. And so I don't want to get too high on blowouts over the Giants and blowouts over the poorly owned, poorly run Washington football team. Their defense has playmakers and risk takers. I think you can beat bad teams that way. You're not going to beat Brady and Aaron Rodgers that way. I think the Rams, teams with the smarter coaches that can use the Cowboys' defensive aggressiveness against them. But they're going to overwhelm average teams because they have so many playmakers. Washington, the Giants, average teams will be absolutely overwhelmed by Dallas's talent. I do think they'll meet their reality in the playoffs, but I put them at 6.
Number 5.
I put the Colts at 5 because I think they do everything well. Now, Carson Wentz is reckless, but they're 9-0 when Jonathan Taylor gets 100 yards, and guess what? He usually gets 100 yards. He's on fire. Their defense leads the NFL, and this is why this is a really key stat. It leads the NFL in takeaways. So here's what they do. Their defense not only is good, it takes the ball away, and then they give it to Jonathan Taylor. They have a way to freeze Mahomes out or freeze Josh Allen out. They're a frightening team because they'll take the ball away from you, and they'll just sit on it for 8 minutes on a drive. Do I think they can play less reckless football against the great teams. No, Tennessee beat them twice. But this is a playoff team to me, a playoff team that can win a game to me. I just don't think week after week after week you can be quite that reckless at quarterback and win.
Number 4.
I got to tell you something. The Packers had a bad win over Cleveland. There are good losses and bad wins. Yes, they're 7-0 at home. Yes, Aaron's going to be MVP. Stop me if you've heard this before. Why are they in so many close games? Why can't they put Cleveland away with 4 interceptions? Why? Because they give up 31st yards per carry run defense in the league. You got to be frightened about that. You got to be worried about that. You're going to face the Rams that can run it. You're going to face Dallas that can run it. You're going to face Tampa that can run it. You could face Philadelphia in round 1, the number 1 rushing team. This team has a hole. We've identified it. You can power run the football at them. Only 11th in the NFL in point differential.
Number 3.
Rams, why? They lead the NFL in a key stat, yards per play. It is a Vegas stat. It matters. 6.1 yards a play. What I like about him is the ways they can beat you. Matt Stafford's played poorly in games this year, and they've won. They've had multiple turnovers and won. They can power run it. They can go over the top now with OBJ. They can Cooper Kupp you to death on all these underneath routes. The reality is they're well coached. They're smartly quarterbacked. They've got playmakers like Dallas all over the field. And I thought this weekend's win, with the COVID ravaging their O-line, was impressive.
Number 2.
Tampa, 8-0 when they win the turnover battle. So it really comes down to, is Tom comfortable? If Tom's comfortable, they win, and they win big. And like Buffalo, they've got a knockout punch. A lot of dominating wins. Now, we know the Saints are kryptonite. They probably now don't make the playoffs. They're also dealing with major injuries all over this team. So last year, as the league was falling apart, they were getting healthy. Now, teams are getting healthy. They're falling apart. I think it's a problem.
Number 1.
Kansas City. They are 22-0 in their last 22 games in November and December. That's pretty amazing. Why? Well, they got good players and a good coach. But Andy Reid's always been known as a September coach, right? That's his thing. Why is he now so great in November, December? Because they tweak. This has now become, they've got the Messiah at quarterback. It has become a very smart tweaking franchise. Mahomes mechanically can get loose. They tweak. In all these seasons, this year, last year, the Super Bowl win. They've had dry spells. The Super Bowl year they won their last 6 regular season games. Mahomes had a dry spell. They tweak. They got hot in the playoffs. So 7 of the last 8 games held opponents under 17 points. This is the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has had, and because of that and the tweaking, they're number 1. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.